Hey everyone, this is Jeff Kanof, Vice President of Copperworks Distilling Company. It's Friday at 4 o'clock here in Seattle or Washington in general. Here with another tasting for you. So another fun new Copperworks spirit. I'm going to give a couple minutes for folks to get on here. Some people might be still joining. Just a reminder, we're going to be doing these Instagram live sessions almost every Friday. Usually at the 4 p.m. Pacific time slot. Definitely let us know if there's a particular topic you want to see. Obviously, we're going to talk about our products quite a bit. We're going to talk about our distillery, do some tours, some deep dives on production topics. So if there's a particular topic you want to see, definitely let us know. You can just let us know, info@copperworksdistilling.com. You can DM us here on Instagram, send us a note on Facebook, whatever your preferred method of communication is. Give us some topic ideas and we will definitely cover them at some point. We've got a few weeks planned, but then after that we'll be coming up with new ideas. So today is a product release, so a tasting. Yesterday we had the annual release of what we call our Plum Cask finished gin. This is a super limited product. I'm going to bring up a little picture here just to show you the product we're talking about. So this product is part of what we call our experimental cask finished gin series. So those of you who are familiar with our distillery, we're downtown Seattle. We focus primarily on making things from malted barley because we're founded by beer brewers. So we make American single malt whiskey, and we also make our gin from a base of malted barley. Because we are whiskey makers, we always have a lot of barrels around, especially new oak, but then some really interesting, fun barrels as well. We do a product that we call our new oak cask finished gin, so that's our year-round product. And then in this experimental series, we play around with different barrels. And then as you'll learn about this particular product, it's even more than just playing around with the barrels. We're putting some fruit in there, which is obviously why it's called the Plum Cask finished gin. So I'm going to dive into exactly what that is. Now that you've seen the product a little bit, I'm going to drop back down here. So this product is very special, not just because it has a really interesting flavor profile, but the story on it is really fun too. So one of our founders, Micah Nutt, his family, his brother and his brother's wife have a farm on Orcas Island here in Washington State. Orcas Island, for those of you who don't know, is part of the San Juan Islands. So if you drive about an hour and a half north of Seattle, you can get to a ferry terminal that'll take you over to the different San Juan Islands. Beautiful part of the country, the world, kind of spectacular situation on the water there. Relatively remote, so kind of a fun place to get away. But beautiful place to grow things as well. So Bob Nutt, Micah's brother, has a farm there, and one of the things he grows are these Italian prune plums. Really tasty to eat, but we thought it'd be really fun to infuse some gin with those plums. So about 3 years ago, we did our first infusion. 2 years ago, we released the first version of this product. So essentially, the way this is made is by taking cask gin and putting plums in during the cask aging process. So this year was a little bit different than previous years because last year the yield on the plums that we used was pretty low. So we only had roughly 40 pounds to put in the barrel. And by the way, this is a barrel from our new oak gin, so it had already been infused with gin a little bit. So then we're putting more gin plus plums in there. Spent about 4 months on the plums. We took it out and we did some filtration to remove some of the solids from the plums. We liked the spirit. It was really tasty, nice gin notes, a little bit of plum. However, we didn't think it had enough plum. It didn't have as much as we had in a prior year's version. So when we had the plum harvest from this year, which luckily was a lot better than the previous year, we decided let's infuse it with some more plums. So basically we didn't feel comfortable putting out that product as our Plum Cask finished gin because we didn't think it had enough plum note. So even though it was a tasty product, we put about 100 more pounds of plums to get more similar to ones we've done in the past. And we put those plums with the gin for about another month. And then it really got the flavor and actually the color. I mean, you can see the color is beautiful. It gets so much of that plum. You might think some of this is from the barrel, but since it's a used barrel, most of this color is from the plum itself. So very, very much color from that kind of red, kind of deep red color from the inside of the plums. So really kind of time consuming process. We have to cut the plums. We remove the pits because there are some, you know, things in the pits that could be quite dangerous. So we don't infuse with the pits, just the fruit and the skin. So it takes a long time to make this product. We've done it 3 times and the total yield is just over 600 bottles. So super limited. You know, definitely get your hands on this. Like I said, it was released yesterday. I think it's about half sold out, you know, a day later, maybe a little bit more than half sold out. This batch was 250 bottles. I'll tell you a little bit more about how to get it, but you can go on our online store. You can pick up at our shop. Our tasting room's closed, but we are still doing pickups. So really, really limited product. We are going to hopefully ramp this up and make a little bit more in the future, but it's always going to be pretty limited just because it's, you know, a product that relies on the fruit yield. And also it is so labor intensive to process those plums before they go into the gin. So, you know, next question, now that you kind of know how it's made, the question is, you know, how does it taste? So I'm going to pour a little bit in a glass and taste it here on the screen. Maybe a few of you picked up a bottle yesterday or today, so you could taste along, but otherwise you can just watch this video afterwards and kind of go along with it then. So like we mentioned, you know, look at that beautiful color. It's so nice, kind of rich ruby red. This is bottled right around 40% alcohol by volume. So it's kind of interesting because it's bottled at your sort of a typical spirit bottling proof, but it also has, you know, some liqueur type elements to it because it is quite sweet from the plum. We don't add any sugar or anything to it. So all the sugar is from the plums themselves. So that's sort of plum juice that becomes part of the product. And by the way, that 40% kind of happens naturally. So we put it into the barrel, usually somewhere between 110 and 120 proof. I think this was like 115. And then it naturally comes down to around 80 proof, 40%, because of all the juice from the plum. So really kind of a cool natural product, just depends year to year, varies a little bit. So when I think about the flavor profile, I'm kind of getting plum first and foremost, then gin, then wood, sort of in that order. So it is quite sweet, like I mentioned, but there's a bit of spirit as well. There's a nice tartness from the plums as well. So it's not kind of cloyingly sweet. You get some of that acidity from the plums to balance it out. You get things like black cherry. I mean, obviously you're getting plum, but you get like kind of a black cherry aroma and tartness. You get a lot of, you know, various fruity flavors. You know, on the nose, you get some floral notes for sure. Sometimes some like herbs like sage. Palate, it's just so versatile because, like I said, it is sweet, it is dry at the same time to kind of balance it out from that tartness. Really balanced spirit. So your next question might be, you know, how do I drink this? What do I do with it? Any cocktail ideas? And yeah, absolutely. I think it's really easy to use this because it is so drinkable on its own. So anything you're going to do to it is just going to improve it as long as you don't cover it up too much. I think probably the best way to drink this is neat, you know, maybe with a single ice cube if you like to chill it a little bit, depending on the time of year. But I would say drink it before a meal or after a meal. I think it's really valuable in both ways. Again, that sweetness, especially for someone who doesn't like too sweet of a dessert, you know, after dinner. This is kind of nice because it's sweet without being cloying. Like I've mentioned a few times. I think it would go really well with cheese because of all that. So if you're, again, the type of person who prefers to have like a cheese plate instead of dessert, I think this would be really nice. Obviously, any dessert with fruit in it would be cool. You know, maybe even a brunch concept. Maybe you're having some kind of a tart, you know, with your coffee. Have a little Plum Cask gin with it as well. I also, last night, I was playing around a little bit. I just did a really simple cocktail, basically a gimlet, but using this instead of regular gin. So just a little bit of fresh lime juice, a little bit of simple syrup, and a little bit of this. I think I did about 2 ounces of this, a little less than an ounce of lime juice, and about 3/4 of an ounce of the simple syrup. Definitely start a little lower on the simple syrup because this does have some sweetness. It turned out really well. Really kind of a complex gimlet. Also was fun because it had a beautiful color. So kind of if you're looking for something that's kind of visually impressive, kind of this beautiful kind of like, you know, dark pink almost that it got. Really pretty. That would occur no matter what you did in terms of like a citrus forward drink. So if you're using lemon or lime, mixing around with it, you get that nice color. But honestly, we haven't spent a ton of time playing around with this in cocktails because, like I said, it is so limited. So we tend to just drink it on its own. But if you do get your hands on a bottle, let us know what you do with it. Post your cocktail on Instagram or Facebook, and share it with us. We'll repost your cocktails and give you a little credit for that, because I am curious what people are playing around with that. Like I said, this is super limited. We're only selling this from the distillery. So this batch, 250 bottles, about halfway sold out. Store.copperworksdistilling.com. Just so you guys do know, we are doing free shipping still. So as long as you hit $115, you get free shipping. So I see a question, what's in the glass? That's what we're talking about today. It's the Plum Cask finished gin. So it's a brand new spirit we have. Very limited edition. It is gin with gin that's in a barrel that has plum infused as well. So we do this once a year. It's kind of sweet, kind of gin forward as well. A little bit of the wood in the background. Great for before dinner, after dinner. Also can be fun for cocktails as well. So $115 gets you free shipping from our online store. Along with this product, we still have a little bit of our Release 32, which is a single cask strength whiskey. We have just a few bottles left of the Kalila peated gin, so that's a really fun one. We sold out of the Lefroy version of that, but the Kalila I think has like 6 to 8 bottles left. So definitely pick that up if you were interested in the peated gin. You can look at our old video. I did a tasting of the peated gin, so if you're curious to kind of find out more before you commit to that, check that out. Same thing with Release 32. I did that 2 weeks ago, a little tasting on that. Just to reiterate, share these videos, like them, bookmark them, all that fun stuff. Jason will be back next week, same time, Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific. He's going to be covering barrels and warehouse conditions. So barrels are always kind of a fun topic. We can spend hours talking about barrels. I imagine he's probably going to spend at least about 30 minutes talking about barrels and how we use barrels at Copperworks. I see a question, Lefroy versus Kalila, which did I prefer? Hard to say. If you watch the video, you'll see that the Lefroy was sort of mustier, a lot smokier than the Kalila, which you might expect if you've had those spirits. The Kalila definitely had more citrus, kind of like lime leaf notes. So I was suggesting the Lefroy is more fun to kind of sip on its own or use in an old fashioned. The Kalila really nice with lime juice, maybe making a last word variation or even just a simple gimlet. They're both excellent. I thought they were really fun spirits. Got a ton of the peat character. Never know what to expect when you're just using a barrel that has something in it. Sometimes you just get the faintest amount, but with those it wasn't the case. You got a really nice flavor. So if anybody has any other questions, shoot them my way relatively quickly. Otherwise, we'll kind of wrap this up. So again, I'll just put the bottle up one more time so that you can see it in the right direction. So it's Release 42 of our experimental series of cask finished gins. So that is the Plum Cask finished gin using plums from Warm Valley Orchard on Orcas Island. Really tasty spirit, super limited, will be gone in probably a matter of days, if not weeks. So make sure you hop on store.copperworksdistilling.com and pick one up if you want one. So cheers, everybody. We'll see you in a couple weeks for another tasting. And like I mentioned, Jason will be back on this next Friday to talk about barrels. Have a good weekend.